No, if a mortal being goes to Valinor, their life is not extended. If anything, it almost seems to be shortened. It really depends on how you interpret Tolkien's words. He's given us a few instances that he's talked about mortals in Valinor in regards to their lifespan, but the two I'm going to talk about is a short essay that he wrote called Aman in Mortal Men, and then an excerpt from the Silmarillion. The bit I want to hit on first is that the Valar and Valinor, the place itself, cannot change what Eru Ilúvatar has put into place, and that includes the lifespan of mortals. Going into Tolkien's essay, Aman and Mortal Men, Tolkien talks about how time moves slower in Valinor because Valinor was made for the immortal. So the lifespan of a mortal will seem to go by faster in Valinor than it would in Middle-earth. In an excerpt from the essay, Tolkien writes, "But in Aman, such a creature, mortals, would be a fleeting thing, the most swift passing of all beasts, for his whole life would last little more than 1/2 year, and while all other creatures would seem to him hardly to change, but to remain steadfast in life and joy with hope of endless years undimmed, he would rise and pass, even as upon earth the grass may rise in spring and wither ere winter." To give some context as to how slowly time passes in Valinor, 1 Valian year equals about 144 solar years for us. So what would feel like a regular changing of the seasons for the elves in Valinor would be an entire mortal lifespan. So while we would be growing older and changing, they would be staying ever the same. However, there may be a different implication in the Silmarillion, depending on how you interpret it. In the Akalabeth, when the Númenóreans start to question why they can't go to Aman, elven emissaries tell them, "The doom of the world, one alone can change who made it, Eru Ilúvatar. And were you so to voyage that escaping all deceits and snares you came indeed to Aman, the blessed realm, little would it profit you, for it is not the land of Manwë that makes its people deathless, but the deathless that dwell therein have hallowed the land, and there you would but wither and grow weary the sooner, as moths in a light too strong and steadfast." Now, in my opinion, when you read that, it could be interpreted one of two ways. The first one being that the elves in Valinor just kind of can't comprehend the difference between the time in Valinor and the time in the mortal world. So obviously to the elves in Valinor, a mortal is going to wither at a faster pace. But it could also be interpreted that the light in Valinor is just too strong when put up against the lifespan of a mortal. An almost example of this can be found in the story of Beren and Luthien. After Beren comes back to life and Luthien is turned into mortal, it's almost assumed that their lifespan is sped up because they're in the possession of a Silmaril, and the Silmaril holds the light of Valinor. It's a possibility that the light of Valinor is just too strong for our mortal lives and causes us to wear down quicker. But to answer the original question, no, a mortal going to Valinor is not granted an extended lifespan. It stays the same. If anything, it feels like it's shortened.